Ryen Russillo Show on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
I know what you're going to say.
He just seems like he's so excited to be here talking about Alabama when he'd rather be at the office talking football.
No, see, that's the thing is I'm telling you, like
Is it just his demeanor?
People that try to say like Saban and Belichick are the same. I don't think that's true at all. Now, I also think that no. I think Saban is far more interesting when it comes to like if you ask him, me is we're show 4 or 5. So trying to figure out how to tweet.
But they say the same thing about Belichick. If you sit down in a production meeting with him, if you ask him a legit football question, he would light it up for you. Now, if you ask him something generic and kind of off the wall, he'll give you a very blanket answer and kind of move by it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I understand what you're saying, and I think there are, like if Belichick is with NFL Films and he's doing some of these things and it's an invested deal, like he's going to give you some really great stuff. But I've also seen somebody when legitimate football questions were asked and he was just going to be dismissive because Belichick, the part that I understand is that it's never going to be about anything that could ever be perceived as distraction from what they're doing. I've had Saban in here so many different times, and there been like he told us this story once about going for it and thinking he lost the SEC title game when he was with LSU.
Yep.
He's telling us his wife was like, I can't believe you guys went for it on 4th down and you got stopped, and then they kicked a field goal and they're down 2 scores, and then all of a sudden they realized we're going to win now because the team couldn't believe how much faith Saban had in the defense. So like those kinds of stories, like I don't know that I would ever get that.
Those are book-worthy stories. Yeah. I got you.
Exactly. So don't screw it up.
I know. You just put the pressure like, don't say anything dumb, Willie.
Well, I'll probably ask him something he's probably heard 1,000 times before. So we're going to have Nick Saban with us, the Alabama head coach. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. I'm going to tell you the latest on the Kyrie Irving stuff because the trade everybody thought could happen, potentially would happen, as of last night, early this morning, is not going to happen. But obviously that stuff can change. But I'll give you the latest on that. But Lucky Whitehead, what do you do with my man here? Because he's been cut by the Cowboys, who knew that part of the story. Yep. He was named in a shoplifting deal where his agent was saying he wasn't in Virginia. It turns out he wasn't in Virginia. It's somebody that gave out Lucky Whitehead's name, date of birth, and Social Security number, and then Lucky still gets cut. And Jason Garrett was asked this about, like, look, you guys cut this dude, and it ended up not being him.
Yesterday we made a decision that we deemed to be in the best interest of the Dallas Cowboys. We're standing by that decision. We're going to move on.
But that decision was based on the idea that he had been arrested last month, correct?
Yesterday we made a decision that we thought was in the best interest of the Dallas Cowboys. And we're going to stand by that decision. We're going to move on.
Not fair to him to just keep saying that over and over?
It's the truth. We made a decision that we thought was in the best interest of the Dallas Cowboys.
Why are some of the other players, Jason, dealing with off-the-field issues then still on the Cowboys?
Guys, this will be the last time I'll say it. I appreciate your interest in it. We made a decision yesterday in regards to Lucky Whitehead that we think is in the best interest of the Dallas Cowboys. We're standing by that decision. We're going to move forward. If you have any other football questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Speaking of Belichick, you're frustrated by this.
Yes, because this is a young man's life. This is his livelihood. You made a wrong decision.
The Cowboys.
The Cowboys did. You're human. Jerry Jones is human. If you made a mistake and you thought the evidence you had was correct, and now that's not, make it right. This is a guy's career.
You bring him back?
Yes, you bring him back. You give him an opportunity, and you apologize. Like, this is a chance for a coach and the powers that be to recognize, hey, we made a mistake. We were trying to save. We've been going through struggles right now. A couple of our guys have been dinged. Which we made a knee-jerk reaction. Okay, sorry, coach. Bring him back. Like, I don't understand what's the problem with bringing him back. I don't get why you're saying, first of all, let me slow down before my head explodes. What's this nonsense that we made the best interest of the team? No, you didn't. You made a knee-jerk reaction because you got tired of getting slandered in the media. That's what happened. So now is false. Is evidence that it's false. The cops in Virginia have come out and said it's false. Give the man his job back. This is training camp. You don't have a lot of opportunities to play in the NFL. You don't do that to a guy. I think it's bogus. It's horrible.
Here's David Rich, Lucky Whitehead's agent, on with Bomani yesterday.
The Cowboys have been good. The Luckies have been good to me. So, I was disappointed in how this whole thing shook out. But like I told somebody else, man, I've been broken up with before. I know what it feels like. I know what that call feels like. When a girl doesn't want to date you no more, she says, like, she's looking for a reason. And so when I got the call, they were basically like, it's like your mom about to whoop you. I don't know if you got whoopings when you were a kid, but I did. She already knew she was going to whoop me, but she gave me a chance to tell me what to tell her what the excuse was. So they called him basically were like, I could tell they were already going to cut him, but we'll give you a chance. What do you know about this? And of course, we didn't have the right answers because we didn't know anything about it. No, it was just a very short conversation with a lot of, we're looking into it, but we don't know right now.
Willie Colon, The Russillo Show, Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. So I'm not disagreeing with you here, okay? I see where all your frustration is coming from. But when I went through all the other quotes, Garrett says 10 times best interest of the Cowboys.
He pulled the Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, Stephen Jones said it's a culmination of various issues. Josina Anderson had a Cowboys source that said, quote, just time to improve the roster from an ability and team culture standpoint. So it's hinting at, this may be completely unfair and just bad luck for Lucky Whitehead, but there could be some other stuff going on. So here are the Cowboys, who everybody's yelling at. Look at your culture. Right. You guys foster this stuff. You mentioned a bunch of the players getting dinged up. We're talking off-the-field stuff. So then the Cowboys actually cut somebody that gets into trouble, they think. And how many times you be like, hey, it wasn't me? And you're like, yeah, I've heard that before. And it actually wasn't me.
Because they've had that conversation over and over with different guys.
With different guys.
Burned. Yes.
So then they think, and let's not kid ourselves, they were okay from a football standpoint cutting Lucky Whitehead because he's a returner. He's not a part of their passing game at receiver.
But Ryan, say that then. Then if he
what would you rather they have
I'd rather
said?
you come out like a man and say, listen, the numbers are stacked against you. We like you. We know you have ability. We want to upgrade our roster. We want to have more range in your position. We don't feel like you're going to make the team. We're going to let you go early. They just let go of Carlos Hyde, right? They let him go early. They let a number of guys go early to try to find work somewhere else.
But if they had cut him right after a false warrant, which was not on him, and then said it was only football reasons, you'd be here yelling, saying it wasn't about football reasons.
No, I would say what they said. If you tell me it's football reasons, then I'm gonna believe you. So otherwise, like him getting in trouble, I wouldn't say like, well, he did get no. If I'm going to give you I'm going to believe your word because at some point you have to believe what's coming out of these people's mouths until you find out otherwise. And usually players give that up or sources give that up. So I just feel like at some point we have to realize that this isn't just a guy. This is a guy trying to fight for his career. Like, don't be reckless and not giving him a fair shot. If you don't want to bring him back, say, hey, we made a mistake. This guy's a good ball player. He's a good locker room guy. Other teams should give him a shot. That's what they should come out and say. Not this garbage. Not just keep giving me the Marshawn Lynch routine.
What if they're right, though? What if they're like, hey, man, some of this stuff just didn't become public. I know there was that one thing that was weird where he was posting videos of him out the night before Snapchat, and then he was late, and then they just left him behind. Like, what if Lucky Whitehead actually was always consistently a problem, and on this one, it was just really bad set of circumstances?
Didn't say that, Ryan.
So you'd be okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you're the player, then you go, wait a minute, so you cut me, and now you trash me to the rest of the NFL that could be looking into me to sign me?
Listen, anytime a team invests in you, they already know the garbage. Now it's on them to see if they want to deal with the garbage. So when a player comes out, they know what he's about. They know all the troubles he's been to. They've talked to the coaches. They've talked to the strength coaches. They've talked to the people at the school.
So the other NFL teams, they'll know this.
So they'll know this. So him coming to the table trying to be all innocent, teams don't fall for that.
So if there had been other baggage that we didn't know about, you'd rather Jason Garrett say that yesterday?
Like, listen, this kid was trouble. This was an issue we've had with him. This is the only issue we've heard about.
You might be okay with that. I think other people get so mad at them for doing that.
But you have to do your part as an organization to call it the right way. Because if you don't, even though if it may be against the player, you're always going to be in this kind of this limbo stage of like, what's right, what's wrong? What are we doing? Just call it like you see it, and then the player's going to have to figure it out along the way. But don't get it wrong and not apologize. It comes off as, I don't know, it just comes off as rude and dismissive and insensitive to the guy's career.
One of the reporters actually in one of those follow-ups when he said we did was in the best interest of the Cowboys was like, do you think it's fair to Lucky Whitehead to keep saying this over and over again?
And that's when Garrett got annoyed.
I honestly don't have the answer for it. I can't tell you Lucky Whitehead, bad guy, good guy, and was going to get cut anyway from a football reason. I don't know if the Cowboys are sneak-tip trying to justify this whole thing and cover their own butts because it's just such a weird, how.
But it's not for us to answer. What the right thing to do is get the facts out there, acknowledge that the Cowboys and the Virginia Police Department made a mistake, and move on from this. That's how you handle it.
And then cut me in August.
Like
everybody else gets cut. All right, if you want to get in touch with us, 1-800-Flowers.com, Twitter feed, it's at Russillo Show. Kyrie Irving, there was a trade that people thought could very well go down, and it sounds like this is not going to be the one. So this saga continues through the offseason. We'll do that next. Russillo Show, ESPN Radio. Hi, everyone. Ryen Russillo here. Support for the Ryen Russillo Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all of the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Russillo. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, and MLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030. Agent, sell Progressive Insurance and any other brand. Find an agent at Progressive.com. Now that's Progressive. Nick Saban going to be joining us right here in 15 minutes. Did see Dunkirk last night.
Thrilled.
Had a good time. And you did SportsCenter. So we have a bunch of, we have some fun stuff. Not committee fun, but fun stuff scheduled for a little bit later.
What was the best part of the movie for you?
I want to get to that later, man.
Okay.
I don't want to, no spoiler
I'm just
alerts.
Excited. I've been waiting for you to see it. Now you saw it. You don't want to give me the juice.
Oh, you're going to have to wait around, man. That's the ultimate tease. So, Kyrie Irving, we are on day 3 of this, and it's not really going to go away, man. It's not going to go away. I was in my office this morning double-checking Instagram. He unfollowed LeBron on Instagram.
Petty Braxton. So petty Braxton.
What's the Braxton part mean?
Tony Braxton. So
yeah. All right.
Petty Braxton.
We had Jamal Mashburn, close personal friend. Haven't talked to him in a while, but
I got to get in touch with him. He's a Hazeman. We went to the same high school.
You serious?
Yeah.
I'll get you. I don't know if I have.
I need to sit down with that man.
I haven't talked to him in forever. He's the best, but he told me he was on that Mavs team, and he took us through the whole Tony Braxton deal.
Really?
Yeah, it was we just did it on the air. It was unbelievable. Jamal's one of the greatest storytellers. I love doing radio shows with him. And Mash was like, yeah, he goes, I think it was, I don't want to get it reversed, but between Kid and Jimmy Jackson.
Right. I can see Jimmy J.
What one was dating her, and then the other guy just went up to her and was like, hey,
what's up?
Jim said it was cool for us to just go out, or then it was reversed. I'm kind of, the premise is accurate. I'm just screwing
with the
order.
Sounds like a shady situation all the way around.
And then Mashburn's like, I had nothing to do with it.
Right. I was just watching.
So there you go. Petty Braxton on that one. So then there's another thing. There was this kind of artistic, thought-provoking meme where it was a green stick figure guy sitting at a table across from the yellow stick figure guy. And the green guy was named Growth. And the yellow guy was named Comfort. And the dialogue was Growth telling Comfort, I'm sorry, it's just not going to work out. And then Kyrie likes it, and we all lose our minds.
Oh, that's deep.
It's so deep.
That'll keep you up at night.
Would that kind of thing, if you saw hey, Russillo's all right.
A lot.
Oh, so you like it? You want to go on and find that post so you can like it a little bit?
That's Kyrie, right? That is amazing. I feel like that's a T-shirt.
Does any of this stuff make you think there's just no way they're going to be playing together?
Yeah, I do. I think it's too much speculation. I feel like Kyrie, especially with this whole, and I know we're teasing that too, with the Justin Bieber church thing in the pastor, all that madness. I feel like he may be somewhere else right now, just mentally, and I think he just needs to go.
And I guess that story is what? That Bieber now, who's rededicated his life to God, and that's why he canceled his tour. I don't have the latest on all the Bieber news, so Smallman, if you can just throw me a life raft here at some point. And then that Kyrie is kind of down, and this is the Hillsong pastor, Lentz, who was super popular. A lot of people, I have friends that
that go to the church?
Love him. Yeah, absolutely.
Swear by him.
Yeah, I think he's the best. So, and I'm very, religion for me, if you're happier and it helps you, like, good for you. But I also think that there's conversations you can have around it where you go, is somebody just on a completely different plane mentally, and that the things that they normally do. Can I just tell the trade, though? Because I've done a bad job.
Yeah.
Russillo Show, it's ESPN Radio. Remind you, if you're at work, stream all 3 hours of the show on ESPNradio.com. Apparently, the Phoenix thing that people thought could happen, the Suns have come out and said, we're not including Josh Jackson in any of these trades. So if you want Bledsoe and Jared Dudley, you can do the Kyrie deal. No offense to my man Jared Dudley, but you got to do better than Eric Bledsoe and Dudley for Kyrie Irving, even with Irving wanting out.
Exactly. I totally agree. That's not even appetizing at all.
So did you ever have teammates that you go, and that's what I think we're all sitting here, we're trying to figure out, okay, where is Kyrie at? Like, is he so, AWOL removed from this thing that he wants nothing to do with the Cavs? If the trade offers continue, like Minnesota has cooled, Miami doesn't have that much. If the Knicks aren't using Porzingis, like, I don't know what Minnesota has cooled on here. If Phoenix won't include another young player with Bledsoe who's been injured a bunch, even though he's a client with LeBron and all those guys. So if the market isn't that great and Cleveland goes, well, we don't really want to trade this for the people out there, this is that bad. Like, is Kyrie so far gone that he still wouldn't even want to be involved with a team next year? Like, that's the stuff we're even asking ourselves.
You would think if there's nothing worth going to that you would be like, listen, I'm gonna fight this out. I'm gonna figure it out.
We're still good.
You were still good. We're still relevant. Everything that we needed to make to go to the championship we can do. I just struggle with him not being open about what he really wants. Like, if everybody's talking about Ryen Russillo, right, and you're just at home like, all right, everybody's talking about me, at some point where you're going to pull up your hands and be like, all right, this is what I really want. This is why I'm here. This is why I've gotten to this point. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, or I just feel like I just need to go. I'm done with the LeBron show. Like, just say something. Because right now everybody's talking around you. You got Stephen A. losing his mind, defending his credibility with the whole LeBron situation. Like, enough. Like, put yourself on a soapbox, tell the people what you want, and then move on. Because it doesn't have to be this hard. It really doesn't.
Here's Richard Jefferson from his Road Tripping podcast, teammate, all these guys, and he's trying to explain at least Kyrie's side of this whole thing.
I think Kyrie is a hyper-intelligent kid, really, really smart, doesn't get enough credit for how smart he is. And I think seeing that the franchise is in flux, I think seeing Griff leave and, the amount of coaches, I think Kyrie has had a much tougher time in this stretch of the organization than anyone ever really wanted fully. He's a number one pick right after LeBron. Then he has 3 different coaches. Then LeBron comes back. Now there's trade rumors. Now it's LeBron's leaving. It's like at some point in time, even anybody would want some sort of stability, even if it's the unknown. And I'm not saying that I don't know if he has to be traded. I don't know this, but I will say that he's had a tougher time if you look at from start to where we are right now of the ups and downs of a franchise more than most. Even though we've been successful and even though we've won a championship and he's been an all-star, there's still been so much of a wave. And to be like, we're going to sit here for a whole year on whether or not LeBron's coming back, that's got to be tough on anybody, everybody. Yeah.
Those are all really fair points. But if you're telling me for this next year, you'd rather go somewhere, I don't know. I don't know if it's
I'm fine
Minnesota.
With everything Richard Jefferson said. Okay. And what he said mostly was stability. Kyrie, if you want stability, then fine. But say that. Don't come across as, like this prize fighter that his promoters talking for him, like my camp's talking for me and LeBron's camp. Like it's no different what we're seeing with Floyd and Connor. We just have these 2 big teams. Everybody's talking, and then it's little Showtime bleeps from the 2 superstars. Like, just put it out there already. If you're worried about stability and you try to be jerked around in an organization going back and forth, I'm fine with that. But at least we know where you're at. And first of all, I never heard a player being upset if a GM left or not. Like, that's rare to me. I don't know if that's...
No, I think it's just all part of the whole thing, all of the uncertainty. So, all right. We'll do more on this a little bit later. Willie Colon today, the Russillo Show. Reminding you, if you're at work, stream all 3 hours of the show on ESPNradio.com. Nick Saban, Alabama's head coach, in studio. It's ESPN Radio.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shapes.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Dave McMenamin will join us in the third hour, talking more about Kyrie's future. Just some people out there saying Kyrie's determined, never going to play in a Cavs uniform again. is that really possible with some of these trades? And at least the market now, it's weird how it works. Oh, they have all these deals they can pull off. Oh, now none of the deals are that good. Tim Kirkshin talks to baseball, but thrilled every time we get to visit with him every summer. He's the head coach of Alabama's football team. It's Nick Saban. Coach, how are you?
Great. How are you guys today?
This team, and we're great, but obviously I want to get right to it. I don't want to waste any of your time. I'm just getting after it.
I'm used to it. And that's what I used to do too.
I've seen you at LSU. I've gone down, as we know, a million times since you've been in Tuscaloosa, and I'm just wondering, as much as this sport has evolved, the coverage, the intensity has evolved. How have you evolved as a coach?
Well, I think the challenge is you got to stay focused on the things that are important to helping the people in your organization be successful. Whether it's the system that you have, the implementation of that system with the people that you have in the organization, the standard that you hold the players accountable to. All these things are important not to compromise in the midst of, a lot of things that are happening externally that can't really change how you go about what you do internally. And I think that's a real challenge, but that's something that, look, I've always focused on two things. How do you bring players to your team? If it's in the NFL, you draft them. If it's in college, you recruit them. And then how do you develop those players to get them to play to their highest level at the most consistent, with the most consistency? So we kind of want to stay focused on that, and we don't want to get too far away from that, because I think that's really what's going to determine the kind of outcome that you can get when you have to play the games.
What do you make of the noise the ACC coaches are making now, saying this is the best conference in college football?
It really doesn't matter to me.
You're not on message boards?
I mean, I'm not one of those guys that, promote one thing or the other. I think there's a lot of good conferences. I think there's a lot of good teams. I think some conferences have a few good teams. Other conferences have a lot of good teams. Some conferences win a lot of championships. Some conferences haven't had that many opportunities. We have great fans. We have great attendance. We have the most guys drafted for the most part. We have the most guys make All-Americans. We won a lot of championships in the last few years. So I think the accomplishments of the SEC kind of speak for themselves. All right, but in comparison to another conference, I don't even want to go there. And it really doesn't matter to me. And it's not going to help us win a game or lose a game, all right, one way or the other. All I know is I want our team to try to develop into one of the best teams so they have the best opportunity to accomplish the goals that they have and maybe play, for a championship again.
Dabo Sweeney was here Monday. He came and talked to us, and he talked about the national championship game against Alabama. He felt that his team's will was stronger than your guys, that your will was broken that day. Do you feel that way?
No, I don't think our will was broken. I really don't. I don't want to disagree with anybody, but I think our players on defense got tired. I think we played 80 plays of defense, and they had 14 points, and then they scored the last 3 times they had the ball. I don't think anybody's will got broke. I think we got tired, and there were a lot of loose plays in the game, lots of passes, a lot of screens, a lot of perimeter plays. So it was a more difficult day for defensive players when it came to effort and finishing plays. And they were a really, really good team with a really good quarterback, really good skill guys who made a lot of really great catches in the game. So, and we did not keep the ball on offense. And we went 3-4, 3-4 series, even though we scored twice. It was a 4-play drive. All right, so we played defense almost the whole second half, and I'm not making excuses for our players, but I think we ran out of gas a little bit at the end, and you got to give them a lot of credit because they persevered, and they finished the game better than we did.
You've been with Alabama 11 years, accomplished a lot. You have a historic career. Is there a temptation to go back to the NFL?
Not really. I always thought that was something that I wanted to do. When I went to Miami for a couple of years, it was a great opportunity with great people and a really good organization. But I sort of miss college. There's something to getting guys when they're 18 to 22 years old and watching them develop personally, develop a career off the field by graduating from school, seeing them develop a career on the field, have a chance to play at the next level in the NFL. And I think you can impact it all more at that age. So there's a little more self-gratification other than just winning or losing a game.
Nick Saban, Alabama's head coach, Russillo Show with Willie Colon today on ESPN Radio. Today's athlete is a different athlete, and I think every generation will look at the previous one, oh, these guys are so different now. But I feel like in doing this job for as long as I have is that today's athlete challenges more things, asks more questions, and we're not just talking about college kids. We even look at a guy like LeBron kind of dictating all of the courses for these franchises, trying to figure out, how do we compete with him? What's his next decision going to be? How do you look at today's athlete that is definitely wondering how do I fit into the bigger picture as opposed to just kind of falling in line in the past?
Well, I think that my approach has changed over the years in terms of, I try to make as much that I expect a player to do to be able to relate that to how that can directly impact that particular player in his future. In other words, I make it all about them. Like, I don't talk about the team and tell the players you got to invest in the team. I say you got to invest in yourself, all right? Because if you do the right things and you make the right choices and decisions and you're a good person and you work hard and you graduate from school and you work hard in football and develop a career and invest your time in that, that's going to benefit you the most. It's going to benefit us too because the individuals are going to make our team what it is. And I think this generation responds a lot better to that because they want to know. That's what they want to know. Why am I doing this? I mean, and when you say you're doing it for the team, no, you're not doing it for the team. You're doing it for yourself. All right. So, but I'm not promoting being selfish. I'm just promoting what you can gain from this.
Right.
Has there been a quarterback for you in your time in Tuscaloosa that surprised you, where you thought, okay, where are we at the position? We have some names, you have some depth. I'm not sure, and I've talked to you about this in the past. It's kind of a trust thing and an execution thing more than it's just a straight-up arm talent thing. Is there one of the guys that you've had in this decade that you go, the beginning of his story to the end of his story was really surprising to me?
Well, I think every quarterback that we've had has been a little bit different. And I think quarterback is such a unique position when you have a guy that has success and you see him grow into that success. It's kind of special. Like A.J. probably played more games for us and started more games and probably won more games than anyone else. And he was a skinny young man that developed into a pretty good player. I never thought Blake Sims could play quarterback. I mean, Blake Sims never thought he could play quarterback. He moved to running back. He moved to defense. He moved all over the place trying to find a place to play. And finally came back to quarterback and set all the records that we have at Alabama on offense, passing, total offense, the whole deal. But we did what he could do, and that's why I think he had success. Jake Coker had a rough time at Florida State and came to our place, struggled to become a starter, finally won the team over and won the national championship. So even last year, playing with the freshman Jalen Hurts, who ended up, being the SEC Player of the Year. But what a challenge for that young man to come in and win that job, beat out 3 or 4 guys that were older than him, accomplish what he accomplished. And if there was any mistakes made, it was our mistake because we were so risk averse. If we didn't develop him as a passer as much as we should have, that would have helped us, in the playoffs, and it would have helped us in the Clemson game based on the way they played us to stop the run. We probably could have made some plays in the passing game if we'd have helped him develop throughout the course of the season. So every guy has been different, and I can't really say one guy stands out, more than the others. Some more talented than others, but I think the really good thing our coaches have done is do what the players could do. All right, that's what, and we've changed offensively so that we've been able to enhance the quarterback position relative to that guy's skill set.
I can't wait for the start of the season. Can't wait to get back down to Tuscaloosa. Thanks for your time.
All right, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Nick Saban, head coach of Alabama, give me the Straight Talk. Brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Willie wants to fix SportsCenter. He has a 5-step plan to fix the TV show after his first hit today on ESPN Radio. Willie Colon hanging out, and that is a lot of fun to see you talk with Nick Saban because whenever it's a couple football guys, that you guys are going to see things maybe the same, maybe a little bit differently, and I think you're having a lot of fun with this Russillo Show at ESPN Radio, where Do you think you bummed him out when you said the breaking of did Clemson break your will?
No coach will ever admit nor talk about his team's will being broke. If you watch that game, whether you think the defense was tired or not, there was a part where you feel like their souls were being pulled out of them, and Clemson was the team that was taking it. So I credit Dabo Swinney Monday for him saying that, hey, you saw our wills take over and won that game. And I took it as, well, you broke Bama's will, and I don't think
so no one can just score a couple touchdowns, right? It has to be soul reaping.
I mean, when it comes down to a national championship, I mean, Deshaun Watson took a big hit in that first quarter, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people thought he almost knocked him out of the game. He stood up, shook it off, and played like a boss. So with all that said, give credit when credit's due.
But it is funny when I brought up just Alabama, and this is off the air with Dabo. I go, I'm on the sideline, and you can just see it. You go, man, Bama's just not getting the edge. Like,
right.
There's no rush now, and they're exhausted, and we're getting up to 100 plays. And then Dabo immediately took it as just an insinuation that, well, Bama was better, but they were tired.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, well, tired? He goes, why are they tired? And the offense isn't tired.
Right.
But that's not entirely fair either, because as you as an offensive lineman, it's a hell of a lot easier to just step up out of your stance and get in somebody's way than to run around you guys the whole time.
I would never use that excuse. It is way harder standing up and picking up blitzes and protection and fighting off a 3 technique or a guy coming off the edge. Has nothing to do with coming out of your stance.
Wait a minute. All right, so I'm at a loss here. I was going to do a Dunkirk review and a SportsCenter thing, but I think we may have to push it back. I can only talk as somebody who watches, obviously, so I'm about to lose this argument.
There.
All right. Yeah, no, I mean, look, this is Willie Colon minus 21 points here on this one.
I'm trying to find my damn court. Good.
If I have to line up and run at another 300-pound man and I'm trying to get to this spot, I think it's harder for me. I think it's more physically taxing for me to go through that act than it would be to pass protect.
Right, but as you're coming at me, I have to move my feet, and depending on how long the play goes, I could be blocking you up to 10 seconds. I mean, I played with a quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger who prided himself in holding on to the ball, making big plays.
Which is great for you guys.
Which was sucked for me at times, especially when you got a hellraiser in front of you like Ndamukong Suh or one of those guys who are just beasts off the ball. But that's your job. Your job is to protect. Like, I never complained. I mean, he wins championships. He's a baller. So for offensive linemen, it doesn't matter what's coming at you. You got a job to do. And first of all, even if you do if you rush for 3 plays, you get a chance to sub. There's no substitution for offensive linemen. We have to go the whole field, no matter if we get a penalty and it gets called back and we gain 10
Okay,
more
but now
yards.
you're starting to add stuff. Like, okay,
No,
but
I'm I'm just talking about
passes.
logic.
That Clemson drive, those were quick plays.
Right.
That wasn't sitting back and protecting for 10 seconds. I just feel, and maybe I think
Talking
we're
about
agreeing.
screen game.
I think we're agreeing here a little bit. I just think I'd rather play 100 plays on offense than 100 plays as an edge rusher.
I feel like you're trying to say like the defense has it harder than the offense.
I think they have it harder.
And I disagree with that. Totally. I think execution, be able to manufacture things on the run, audibles, a lot of things goes into account when you're up there. It's not just us standing up and blocking.
No, and I should, as I say, 100 plays offense, 100 plays. I know that they're rotating guys in. Like that's the
right.
One of the great things about Bama all the time. I mean, we have all these guys. With that game, I don't know if that was really the case. The guys that could play 100 plays, I doubt it on defense, especially along the line. But I don't see it as an excuse. Like, you think it's almost like a code with you guys that anything that is explained is always an excuse.
Because we're taught
like
to
a negative.
Yeah, because we're taught to not to make excuses, no matter what the outcome is, no matter how far one-sided it is. If you get it done, you got it done. If you didn't, you flat out didn't. So I agree with Dabo about saying, hey, our guys were out there too. We had to execute. We had to get it done. We found the way.
This is really who won and who lost, because
That's
you're okay
all
with
it comes down to.
Yeah, but I like the nuance of, is it okay to at times explain what you think happened in that game? And when Saban goes, well, we played 80-something plays, 14 points, and they scored the last 3 because we got up to 99 and our guys were tired, you want to throw up when you hear that.
Yes, because it doesn't matter what happened and how you got there. Did you win or did you lose? You lost, so you go home.
You're probably better about going that way. That's probably the better way to go about it.
Because at the end of the day, the opposite team was on the field. They had to execute and make tackles and do what they had to do. You had to make plays and listen to protection calls and all that stuff. Everybody has to work.
So every game you ever lost, it was just you lost. The other team was better than you.
Every
there was
time
never a time where
there's
you
never
like,
a time where I felt cheated. No, on the field, or where I felt like, man, if this, are there calls that things that happen? You like, man, that sucked. That should have went our way. Or this ref is bogus. But there was things before that we could have done better. That the outcome could have prevailed on our side.
That's some Braveheart stuff out of you right now.
I'm just saying, like, that's a championship mindset. We don't make excuses. We embrace the misery. We don't seek comfort, and we go get it.
We got 2 more hours of no excuses on the Russillo Show. It's ESPN Radio. I want to get training camp stories, the best fight in training camp, and the reporter you most got along with.
Welcome to the Ryen Russillo Show on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Kirchen, do some baseball trade deadline stuff. And we're also going to talk about this report from CNN originally. I don't know if it just picked up there, the CTE thing. We hadn't done it yet. I didn't know how I felt that much about the article. I knew you're kind of fired up about it, so let's definitely do that with you a little bit later.
Okay.
All right. So we got that. And then we ended up moving off the Dunkirk thing because I thought that back and forth, the offensive defense, the guy that played offensive line versus the guy that watches it. Was pretty good. Russillo Show on ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. Now you can test drive Snapshot, even if you have to say before you switch. Let's get a little music, Cat. Let's do rapid-fire training camp questions with so many camps opening up the end of this week. Are you ready, sir?
I'm locked in.
Okay. Give me, I shouldn't start with this one because this one's a little tougher, but you're pretty good at this stuff. Best quarterback you played with in a camp that actually never had a career?
Dennis Dixon.
Yeah, go
from
Ducks.
Oregon. I thought he had Dennis was great. He could scramble. He had that moxie about him. He just couldn't just get it done. And he had a shot when we were in Baltimore that one year. In Baltimore, when Ben was hurt, he could have beat him, but we lost. I think he something happened. I think I can't recall the play, but it was towards the end. Yeah,
he was awesome. But that was kind of the beginning of the whole Ducks thing, and then he blew out his leg, and he could have very well been, one of the Heisman finalists.
Yeah, Double D was awesome. I love him.
Good guy?
Great guy. Now he's up in Nike, working for Nike.
From Oakland?
Yeah, out of Oaktown.
I'm looking at those game
He's
logs.
all beefed up, too. Before he can even put on weight. Now he has some muscle definition. He's all swole. And I saw him in Super Bowl out in San Francisco. He looks great.
Nice.
Doing the Nike thing.
Awesome player. All right, so that was good. You get it off the top of your head. Best fight?
Best fight was between... besides myself, it was between Antonio Brown and Ike Taylor on Family Day. That was interesting. We had broke right after practice, and these two squared off.
For what? What was the reason?
I don't know. I think it was something that kind of carried over, and Ike rolled up on AB, and it was a squabble, and they ended up breaking it up. And then, Family Day, usually all the families eat with the players, and IT walked in with a little shiner, and they sat next to each other. And ate, which was awesome, and I loved it because that's what family. Sometimes family, when your family, you're gonna get in a squabble, you're gonna scrap. But they sat right next to each other, and like nothing happened, and laughed, and had their baked beans and franks, and we had a day.
Are those both tough guys?
Yes, both. Yeah,
Antonio, because you would not.
Yeah, but IT is from NOLA, baby. He's from that ward, and he's all the way live. IT is.
Okay, but what about Antonio? He comes on with the fedoras and the Lego.
Yeah,
and you're like, what's going on?
But AB is a tough guy, but Ike is no joke for sure.
Great answer so far. Okay, best first impression from a younger player where you went, whoa.
Marquise Pouncey, first guy. When I saw eyes on him, I was just like, the first time he lined up next to me, and we had a screen, and it was a bubble screen, and he looked like a Ferrari going by me. He was moving. And he's 6'4". He's a big guy. And he was floating. And I was like, this kid is special. Flat out special.
Then you checked out his social media and you were like, huh? Okay, favorite member of the media while you played? Who'd you like the most?
Who did I like? I like Kim Jones, who's
from New York.
NFL. Yeah, she's a professional, man. She's awesome. Kimberly Martin from Newsday. They're probably my two favorite. But Kim is spot on awesome. I love Kim Jones.
Wow, back-to-back Kims. What were the odds?
Wow, I didn't even see that.
Least favorite member of the media.
Least favorite? I don't even want to say his name because he's one of those guys. If you say his name, it just gives him more pump, more juice. But he's
Van Pelt?
No,
you can say it.
No, I like Van Pelt. He's part of the Daily News. I'm gonna leave it there. But he's a Daily News columnist. But he chaps my fanny.
Why did it bother you so much?
Because when he was with when I was
not even saying his name. That's fine. I don't
because if you say it, if you say his
right.
name, it's just like he's gonna tweet it, then he's gonna have a story. Now he's the guy. Like I don't want to give him no more juice. But he was the guy that when Rex was with us, he would be like Rex. Rex would come to the team. He'd be like, man, stop telling such and such our business. Like keep stuff in house. Every time I look at an article, he's giving out sources from the locker room. So we go back to the locker room and we'll talk to the guys like, man, who's saying this stuff? And nobody. It was nobody was saying anything. So when the media would leave, this one guy would kind of hang out next to this one player, and now everybody's looking at the one player like, are you the snitch? Are you the rat? And it wasn't. But he would play those games where he would kind of like slowly trickle over to a player to kind of keep us in guessing, like who's the guy that's giving out all the juice, and it was BS, and I didn't like that. So
that's some spy game stuff right there. So Rudy,
who was the softest guy you played with?
Oh no,
the softest I played with,
King Dunlap.
I never played with King Dunlap. Who's the soft?
I just meant like mushy.
Right. We had a rookie from when I was with the Jets. Jarvis. Jarvis. He was from Texas A&M. I forgot his last name. It's Jarvis something. I can't remember his last name. He was annoying. He was soft. So
why was he soft?
Why was he soft? First of all, because he was built like a bag of Carolina rice, and secondly, he just didn't care about football, and he was just bad. He irritated me. So I forgot his last name. But he was a rookie. He's a lineman.
I'm going through this right now. I'm having a hard time finding
Jarvis Harrison?
Yeah, that may be it.
Offensive lineman?
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
He never played in a game.
No. He never wanted to. He didn't even want to be in New York. He hated New York.
How much of a downer is that once you get to learn that there's just some guy like
there's guys that I've played with who flat out stood up and have said, listen, I'm just good at it, but I don't love it. Which
that's going to be the worst.
Oh, it burns my soul because I would do anything to get back in a helmet and cleats. And, my fate is my fate. But I'm like, there's guys who I've met on the street like, man, if I could have just had one day at an NFL practice, my life would be great. And you see guys take it for granted, and it's like, man, you don't even know. Like some guys I feel like hooking off when they say that because they deserve to get hooked off on.
But it'd be crazy to think that everybody absolutely loves it. I mean, any industry.
But they don't do it.
Yeah, well, right, but then it's the cash. I mean, what else?
Yeah, I get it, but it's sad because I'd rather go to war with a guy who loves it, who would sacrifice everything for it, and still make the cash, rather than a guy like, well, I have nothing else to do with my life. I'm 6'4", I can run a 4.5.
Okay, but I mean that one thing that you do, I don't think.
Like if you didn't love this, you wouldn't do it. Even though if the money was good, would you? If you had all the talent to be the best and be as big time as you want.
I'm a weird guy to ask about this stuff.
Why? Because you don't love what you do?
I think there's other things that I would see. The problem with me though is I could say, oh, maybe I'd like to do something else when I'm older or do something like that, and then I don't know if I showed up the next day and then I wasn't doing a talk show, then would I freak out and then go, wait a minute, I absolutely really loved it, or would I go, oh, you know what, it was 15 straight years of talking every day. I needed a break.
Right. But you also understand this is a once in a life opportunity.
Yes. Oh, I absolutely do. Like I don't ever show up here going,
but you don't
I don't
take it for granted.
See, that's a different. I should have answered it that way. I never show up here going, I don't even care about today's show. There's never. I mean, honestly, I pride myself on that.
But when you come off and say you don't love it, that's what I hear.
No, when you're talking about guys you have to fight with every single Sunday, that would drive me absolutely crazy.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
Do you come in here today if I tell you that, like, I love the idea of this whole thing, like for what I do, but now it's becoming two different things. You know what I think the real heroes are? The troops. All right. Coming up next.
Right. That's right out the back door. Thank you.
Tim Kirkshin with the latest on the trade deadline, including one starter who's a stud who got thrown into the rumor mill here a little late in the game with Willie Colon, The Russillo Show, ESPN Radio. Hi, everyone. Ryen Russillo here. Support for the Ryen Russillo Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all of the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Russillo. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, and MLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030. New CTE study that is out, and I think I'm still confused, to be honest with you. The whole deal. We got Willie Colon. And Tim Kirkshin joins us now on The Russillo Show on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. Tim, let's do some trade deadline stuff now with less than a week to go. Yu Darvish mentioned now as a potential target. Is that just the Rangers figuring out what the market is for him? Because it was obviously reported that if you give us a ton of great stuff, then we would be willing to do a deal for him. So what's the latest?
Right. The latest is fairly obvious, Ryan, that he's a free – well, not obvious. You shouldn't put it that way. As a free agent at the end of the year, and they're not positive if they can re-sign him, and they're not certain that they want to re-sign him for the money that he's going to warrant, and their precarious place in the standings, even though they played better, now they've put it out there that if in the right deal they would consider doing this. Now, he's way too good for them to trade and not get significant value for him. Plus, they've won 4 out of 5. They're starting to play better. They're the Rangers. They never won the World Series, and when they have a chance to get to the playoffs, they have to take it. But if, let's just say, the Dodgers see Darvish as that final piece, and they come to the Rangers and say, we're going to meet all your needs, which is unlikely that the Dodgers would say that, and the Rangers have to consider doing this because you can't let someone of that value just walk away at the end of the year without getting significant return, and that's potentially what a trade could do. So I think that's where we are right now.
What about the other starters that are potentially like real or not real on the market?
Well, Justin Verlander is real in part because the Tigers are in trouble and they need to start to rebuild that system. And the best way to do it, unfortunately for them, is to trade some of their best and highest paid and most marketable people, and Justin Verlander is one of them. He's not the Justin Verlander of his prime, but he's still really good. And he could, let's just say, he were to go to the Cubs. Imagine a wildly competitive guy like Justin Verlander suddenly being in the middle of a pennant race in Chicago. I think he would be great there. But with the money wrapped up in his contract, how much it's going to take to get him, that's going to be tricky. It's not going to be nearly as tricky with Sonny Gray, who is coveted by several teams, including the Yankees, I'm sure, because he's 27. He signed for 2 more years. He's got his game back. He's got a great changeup. He loves to pitch, and he could really help a team not only down the stretch this year, but for the next 2 years. And, of course, the A's are willing to trade him only because he can bring a significant amount in return. So it's Darvish, it's Sonny Gray, and it's Justin Verlander as the guys we have to keep our eye on by Monday afternoon.
Hey, Tim, Willie Colon here, and we're going to talk Mets. What's the latest on Lucas Duda in the market?
Well, I don't think there's a big market for Lucas Duda. I don't think there's a big market for a number of those Mets players, but since it's pretty obvious that they're not going to the playoffs this year, they are going to have to look around to see where they can upgrade their system if they were to get, a really nice return for Duda, which I don't see happening. It's more likely they're going to get a big offer, a relatively big offer for Addison Reed, who closes for them, could really help a contender as a setup guy or even more. Jerry Blevins, another lefty reliever they have, could really help somebody. Jay Bruce, I think, could help somebody. But, yes, Lucas Duda is out there. The Yankees at one time were looking for a left-handed bat to play first base. Maybe that comes up again. I doubt it. But he's a guy that's got some value, but not a significant amount.
We're going to switch over and talk Yankees. Do you think Sonny Gray, the right-hander from the A's, can help the Yankees?
Yeah, I do. I think he's pretty much a perfect fit for them. They've really upgraded their bullpen. They could use another left-handed hitter, as I said. But looking forward, they're going to need some help with that rotation. They're going to need some help now with the Michael Pineda injury and other things. Again, Sonny Gray fits that subscription in a lot of ways because, again, of his age, his signability for the next 2 years and the rest of this year. And I saw him throw last night. He threw extremely well, 9 strikeouts. He could really help the Yankees if, of course, they're willing to give up a very nice prospect or two to get him.
Tim Kirkchin, ESPN Radio. Zach Britton, what's going on there?
Well, the Orioles are still in this thing, so they're going to have to get overwhelmed for him also. But if they're willing to move him, they're going to get a nice package in return, and it makes some sense for them because he's up for a huge contract coming up, and they have to ask themselves, is he going to be worth $15 million a year? If the answer is yes, they keep him. They try to win this year. They try to re-sign Manny Machado moving forward. And the alternative is if they don't think they're going to win and the Dodgers, let's say, come along and offer a really nice package for Britton and they start to build a bullpen similar to what the Yankees have right now, then I think the Orioles have to consider that. But keep in mind, with this window in Baltimore really only open for this year and not beyond because you're just not sure about Manny Machado's future, I think the Orioles have to keep going for it here until the standings say this is not worth it.
Tim, I'm a big Aaron Judge fan. I love everything the guy has done. I think he's the face of baseball. But should we be cautious? Is he starting to burn out?
Well, we should be cautious because this game is so difficult to play, especially for a young player, of that size. There's been no one ever, position player, as big as him. And he has done a spectacular job working around being so big, which is not a great thing for a hitter for the most part. But people are just adjusting to him. And this thought that he was going to hit 330 with 30 homers the second half also was just unrealistic. The game is not built for someone fresh from the minor leagues, essentially, to come up and do what he's done. I think he'll make the necessary adjustments because he's really smart and he really understands what the game's all about. But there are pitchers everywhere that are locating ways to get him out now, and it'll be much more of a struggle the second half, I think, than it was the first half when he just dominated.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay, guys, see you.
Tim Kirkchin, Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. You're not a Mets fan, though, right?
No, I'm a diehard Yankees fan.
Yeah, right?
But I have to pay attention to the Mets. Because I'm down in SMY. And
so do you watch more Mets games because of work than you do?
No, I go back and forth. Yeah, New York, you got to watch it all. So I watch it all.
Okay, because I was like when I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, don't get it twisted.
Yeah, right.
I'm pinstripes all the way, baby.
That was gonna. You must look down on Mets fans.
No, I listen. I play for the Jets. When they you can't. Did it
get to the point with the Jets where people are like, oh, that's cool
all the time.
Because it's just all Giants fans.
When I'd be like, hey, I play for Steelers, like, oh, man, that's awesome. And I finish with the Jets, like, you all right?
That's not cool.
Yeah, but I love the Jets.
A New York Times study, and I was reading the piece from CNN, 110 out of 111 brains examined football players had CTE. So what the headline is alarming, but what does that number really mean? We'll do that story with Willie next on ESPN Radio.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo! Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
A piece in the New York Times came out a little bit earlier this week, and I've admitted numerous times on this show that until there's something new about the concussion topic, I just don't really have 7-8 minutes in me anymore. And so the headline is 99% of these brains submitted in a CTE study all found evidence of CTE. It was 110 of 111 brains, and then everybody goes, oh, my gosh, what is this? It's freaking out, like end of football, doomsday. And maybe it is. Maybe it is. And I know I sat here with Cannell forever, and Cannell was made fun of. I think it's really funny that some of the stuff that Cannell suggested and everybody got on his case, Louis Riddick had a really open mind about it this morning on Mike and Mike, and everybody's like, Louis Riddick, so well said. So well said.
What did Cannell say?
He just was like, he could be a tad trollish about it at times, but he had a premise of like, we need to understand more about the science. Like, what does CTE mean? So I think the headline is all these guys have CTE, and you're like, oh, what does that mean? I openly asked the question: does CTE mean brain function where you're just shot no matter what, and everybody's heading down the same path, or does everyone that ever plays any like, do I have CTE because I've gotten knocked out a few times? Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm not asking it to be anti the study. I'm asking it to try to, like, I think there's a hysterical reaction every time it's a concussion thing. But enough about me. Like, you're the guy. Right. You did these things. So you see this report. Like, what was it about this one in particular that you wanted to do today?
I think it was most disturbing that, considering that I spent my whole career in the trenches, offensive linemen and defensive linemen are most affected by it. It's hard because, like you talked about, there's so much that we're in the dark about. Like, are people predisposed to it because of genetics, or should there be a cap on football till you get to the trouble zone? As far as like, should you only play 8 years of football before you put yourself at risk of really hurting yourself? Like, there's a lot of questions, and it's hard because this is kind of on the way. First of all, it's training camp's about to start, right, or it has started for a lot of teams. Tom Brady's wife has come out and talked about, Tom, and she knows for a fact Tom has suffered a concussion, and me being in retirement, I put all that together, and I'm saying to myself, one thing that I know for a fact that brought me joy and made me feel complete as a human being was the game of football. It changed my life. It made me who I am today. I would be irrelevant. I wouldn't even have the opportunity to sit here and talk to you if it wasn't for the game of football. So the game gives you so much, but when you hear these stories and you hear these tales and you see the stats and you see the testing, it's like, man, if you ask a lot of football players, will they do it over again? Some say yes, and others say, yes, I would do it, but I wouldn't let my son play, which is weird. It's so much to talk about. I think for me, it's hard being retired because and knowing what CTE is and how it affects people.
Like, how much work have you put into trying to figure out what you could have in front of you?
Last year I did a baseline test. I went to Cornell University in the city. I was worried because when
that episode of Ballers hits home.
Yeah, because because I did I went through a depression period, and I still go through it, especially now with training camp. This is my first full year. That's like I'm really not going back, and I know I'm not going back to the game of football. So you go through your ups and downs. As far as emotionally, physically, my knees are shot. So there's a lot of things emotionally I go through. I do get angry. I get confused. All those things. And sometimes I don't know if that's just me having a bad day or is that symptoms to CTE. I don't know.
Did you ever feel the depression stuff before?
No, I didn't. So that's why.
Okay, but is the depression just not getting your pads ready for next week? I don't know if anybody could ever figure out the difference.
Right.
Like, is this?
I can't figure out the difference. And so I agree with you on that. I don't know if that's just me being somber and sad. I'm not suiting it up again, or is it just like, yeah, maybe I'm suffering.
That depressed me. It would.
Right.
If I missed the game and wanted to play, and I know how much you missed the game, right, spending time with you.
So I go back and forth with it. But the hardest thing about all of this is for the wives to deal with these ball players, because one thing a wife can't do. I mean, she can feed you, she can pleasure you, she can make your house happy. She can't give you a sense of purpose. She can't make you feel like you're valuable. That's what football does for us. It gives us a sense of purpose. It makes us feel like we have a belonging. There's a family aspect to that. And when you're disconnected from that, I don't know if it's due to CTE or is it due to just kind of you're going through a grieving period, and that's hard to tell.
And so it sounds like you kind of consume the headlines a lot of the ways that I do. I don't want to sit here and go, oh, no, all this stuff's fake news. Like, I'm not doing that.
No, and that would be disrespectful, too, because I've been around Wayne Corbett. He's going through it, and he's a great man, and he has a great family.
What's it like?
Well, a lot of guys who I mean, when you come across some of these guys, and I don't mean to kind of throw Wayne out there like
well,
that.
then don't. I have to follow up that way, but I don't want to put you in a bad spot.
Right. And I just feel like I've been around guys who I know for a fact are struggling with things like that, and there's signs. They shake. They seem their attention span is very short. They seem very agitated. You know, there's signs you say, man, this guy's going through. I've been around guys like that, and this is real. This is 100% real.
Willie Colon, ESPN Radio, The Russillo Show. I have a friend, and I don't think I asked him to tell the story, and he wouldn't. So I guess I can't really say his name, although I think at some point. But I just know, and he was a full-on contact guy.
Right.
There's no like
headhunter. Yeah.
And I said, "What's up? Like, do you want to tell your story? Like, are you worried?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm worried, but I don't want to take any of the tests."
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to find out, like, I'm 75% chance I'm going to have ALS in 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather, he's like, I'm not saying I prefer to have ALS. I would rather just have it than wait to have it.
Yeah. And listen,
that sucks.
When you read these reports and you find out, I mean, these guys are getting dementia at 55, 60. I mean, there's still a lot of life to live, and because what the game does to you, you're going to get it. At some point, you're going to suffer some type of results or effects from the head trauma. And, like, for a lineman, there's no way around it. Like, so there's always talks, like, how can you make the game safer? What prevention methods can you for a lineman, there's nothing. We have to bang. I mean, when it's time to go get it, it's time for us to go get it. And we're going to use our heads, and we're going to fight, and we're going to grapple.
Remember there was that rule change a couple years ago with running backs, if they actually – we're going to stick somebody, they could get a flag.
It was the Trent Edwards, was from Cleveland.
Yeah. Trent
Richardson, sorry.
Right,
yeah.
right. Trent Edwards, Stanford quarterback.
Right,
didn't quite work out. But I do think that how you sell this will get the people that claim, like, all of this stuff is fake. Like, they get really frustrated. Like, I clicked on the link for the CNN story, and then immediately there's a tag. It's like Aaron Hernandez, CTE. And I know it's just a link.
Yeah.
And you go, well, this is ridiculous. And you knew that the doctor from the concussion movie was immediately going to suggest that O.J. Simpson has CTE. We spend too much time kind of trying to trick the other side into believing what we believe in, and that makes everybody never want to listen to the other person. And on the CTE thing, like, I'm not going to sit here and dispute any of this stuff with you. I want to know, what does baseline CTE mean? Does it mean it shows up in everybody's head that's ever been dinged, or does it?
Well, they describe it as it's called tau protein. That's a buildup in the brain. That's how they describe it. And they say,
but how do you get to that level that you test positive for having CTE? I mean, again, you can't do it until it's an autopsy, so it's not like we can go and do blood work.
Exactly. Like, in the fact, like you said, you can't talk about it or even examine it till the guy's passed. Mm-hmm. So I know I'm walking around with it. There's plenty of guys I know that are probably walking around with it, but to what degree are you at? I mean, what's your time span until things go south? And it's kind of sad to think about it in that way, but it's the game.
So do you think about it often?
I don't think about it when stories like this come up, honestly.
So when a story comes up like this, do you even want to read it?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay.
Because I want to know what's the talk, what's the latest. I mean, I want a family one day. I want to be relevant.
You don't have any kids?
No, I don't have any kids. I don't want to be the guy at Christmas that gets stuck in the corner and nobody just talks to and gets fed pudding.
That's not Willie Colon, man.
Right. That's like my horror story. Like, oh, let's put Willie in the corner and somebody's feeding me cream corn. Like, that's horrible. Like, I don't want that to be me. And I don't, I'm a fire spirit personality. I don't want to lose that side of me either. So it's kind of morbid, bro.
Well, I appreciate you sharing all that stuff with us, though. All right, coming up next, we will do over under and properly rated. Is Harbaugh one of them, or is Harbaugh's suit game one of them? That's next. It's ESPN Radio. Just saying. People loved that last segment. Texts from people I haven't heard from in forever. McShay doesn't text anybody. He's one of the worst texters I know.
What did he say?
He said it was a great segment and that Willie Colon did a great job.
Appreciate it.
Stu Gott's checking in.
Stu Gotts. I love Stu Gotts. That's my guy. Never met him, though.
Levitard liked the segment, just didn't text.
Hashtag nobody cares.
Shout out to Rue Jude and Who Kid who entertained me on my
DJ
ride
Who
down.
Kid, what up?
They put us in their IG story yesterday. So
that's my boy. I was in Vegas with him.
Just a little. Hey, that's a great guy to be in Vegas with.
Yeah, the Moisture King. I love him. Good guy.
Yes, he's always never has ashy skin. The Russillo Show, it's ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. All of our guests in the show, Pennzoil Performance Line. We ready for this? Let's do it.
Let's ride.
Properly rated.
Here we go. First one. Your Madden rating.
I've never even looked at it.
You've never been aware of what it was?
No, I don't even play Madden. No.
Surdy, tell me.
Insane.
Surdy, you
That'd
don't
be
know what it
the
is?
first thing I would look at.
Really?
Every single year, I'd be like, "What am I in Madden? What am I in 2K?"
It's probably not properly rated.
I'm going to guess 72.
It's probably lower than that. They probably dogged me out.
Whoa. How about that?
What was it?
You were in, wait a minute, towards the end of your career, they gave you an 85?
Boss. Properly rated.
In 2016,
I was a dog.
You were an 85.
Yeah, I was a dog. People don't listen. Pull out the tape. I was a dog now.
94 strength rating.
What are you talking about? You see these things? You want to see Frank talk to you? What do you say, Frank? What are you talking about? All legit. Next.
Not a great catch rating, though. 15. Come on.
That's fine.
You got better hands than that.
I mean.
Okay, so I've got the 2012 one up here, and you were given an 82.
Boss.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys ahead of you, though. Nick Mangold got a 97.
I mean, he's all pro.
Okay, what about Luis Vasquez? 80? So you were better than him.
I mean, I could have told you that.
I went to toughness rating, though. They have Matt Light and Matt Burke ahead of you.
What?
Yeah, your toughness rating.
Suspect?
Yeah, not great. That's probably the most disappointing.
That's
news
probably
of
the
day.
most disappointing, yeah.
Okay. All right, just double checking. Next one.
Next one.
We didn't even hit any sound effects. We'll say properly. 85
properly.
is pretty good.
That's solid.
That's maybe even.
I've never looked at it, honestly.
No,
That's the first time I heard it.
I'll hit stop.
All right, dudes with fro hawks or faux hawks?
Overrated. I hate
Overrated.
I hate Ryan Clark's
You were
haircut.
going to say me. I'm like, I don't have one.
No, I hate Ryan Clark's haircut. I hate all of the NBA's haircut. Everybody wears the same haircut. Everybody looks the same.
Overrated.
I hate it.
Who's still doing it though? It's kind of out, isn't it?
When I was in Vegas and I was around the summer league, it was like a million basketball players that had the same haircut.
Okay, it's out then. It's over.
It's over. Get over it.
Would you ever do the Beckham Jr. deal?
No.
You
No.
would look good though with it.
No,
have you thought about it?
No.
Is there an app where you could figure out which would work better?
I think
for
there's
you?
one that you
It
can
has to
kind of.
be.
Yeah, I think there's one. I think my next step is probably just tape fade or something like that.
No, I like what you're doing.
Yeah,
there.
I like my
the
locks.
big braids. Wish I had done that.
All right, next one. Jim Harbaugh's personality.
Properly rated. I love
Properly
the guy. I think he's
rated.
setting a trend, and I feel like he's getting the millennials to believe in him and his cause. And he's not. I mean, look at all the coaches that came in, suit, tie, kind of model citizen.
The Big Ten media days.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh's like, nah.
What did he pack, Rudy? What was his quote?
The quote he had was, I packed light, I brought toothpaste and a good attitude.
Love
That is the
Underrated.
lamest
Love
thing
it.
I've ever heard.
I love it.
There's no way that if a coach said that to you that you would buy that and be like, yeah, I'm all in.
You would buy it because it's original. That's why you would buy it.
That's not original, though.
It is. Listen,
Cerruti hates this. He's so mad about this quote.
if he was your guidance counselor, you will walk out of his office like you can take over the world.
Like that's out of like a coaching 101 book. Like,
But see,
pack a good attitude.
That's what I think is so funny. He chugs milk. He buys multiple khakis.
He's as
he
all-American
wears
as white
spikes.
bread.
Like I know that you think it's a bit of an act, but with him, it kind of isn't.
Right. It's him.
Like this is somebody when he's at Stanford. He said we're going to attack the day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind, and then we realized he got it from his dad. And then they chant, "Who's got it better than us?"
Nobody.
I just have a hard time believing that like 18-year-old kids buy into this.
It's probably the other stuff and the fact that Michigan's hooked up with Jordan Brand and they're going to be a really good football team for a long time.
You ever been around somebody that's so
Underrated.
cheesy that you kind of fall in love with him? It's kind of like that.
I pack toothpaste and a good attitude.
Boom.
That's great.
Motivation, need none.
All right, next one. It's the 25th anniversary of the original Dream Team. So the Dream Team.
It's properly rated.
Properly
Yeah, I don't know.
rated.
Who's not?
What are you going to say about Michael, Magic, and Larry? I mean, that's blasphemy.
It wasn't a great conference. Angola. Go on the road, play somebody.
Right.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not going to knock those guys. That
Yeah.
book by Jack McCallum is incredible.
Yeah, Dream Team's solid. Best team ever assembled.
What about Bieber?
Excuse me?
Justin Bieber.
Oh.
What about him? I mean, he's a nut job. He's
Properly
he's
rated.
definitely overrated.
Overrated.
Yeah, but that Sorry song's pretty good.
Yeah.
You love Despacito, though, don't you?
That's not his song.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, it's not. It's
not his song.
He kind of covered it, but he's in it. The one that's on the radio is his song.
No, he's
on it, dude.
He's on it, but that's not his song.
Underrated.
Yeah, it's underrated. Bieber's kind of annoying right now.
What about acid wash jeans?
Properly rated.
Who likes them?
Really?
Oh, you think they're overrated?
I think they're overrated.
Overrated.
Who's rating them like going sweet? I picked up more acid wash.
There's a lot of athletes.
Kat, you like acid wash jeans?
There's a lot of guys I see in bars
cool.
these days with acid wash jeans. Even the whole denim, like the acid wash jeans and the jacket, like the one piece thing. A lot of people love
Denim
them.
on denim. So Kat said she liked them.
Yeah, it's kind of the new wave for the summer. It's kind of awkward, but people are buying them.
Underrated. This Lucky Whitehead story. Next.